Hello and welcome to the NHL Best Bets. Last night wasn't the greatest for our picks. We had two picks like you see here. Nashville at Chicago, pretty even game, but Malcolm Subban in Chicago's goal gave two easy goals and Nashville won 3-1 at the end. Right now it looks like Nashville and Dallas are the ones who are looking for have a biggest fight for the last playoff spot in Central Division, and Chicago will be the outsider here, especially if they play like they did last night. Then Philadelphia, New York Rangers, we thought it would be goal extravaganza. It was in the first period. There were already 3 goals within first minutes, but then it died down and end result 4-1 for New York Rangers was under 6 goals. So it was 1 goal below our threshold, and the second game was a miss as well. Tommy, how do you see these picks? Was it something that we are still comfortable to do, or was it just a miss that we didn't pick the under Nashville-Chicago game this time, like you have always said?
Yeah, it was 97 out of 100 now, so we have that one under from the 3 we picked, so a good under there. But no, I think these picks were still good. It was a very tight game in Chicago, maybe a little bit lacking in the offense, surprisingly, compared to the last game that Chicago played. So Nashville tighten up their defense, and of course, when Juuse Saros is playing, it's really difficult to score goals. So Nashville scored from their few chances they got. Maybe not the best night for the goaltender for Chicago. So Nashville deserved their win, and they are that much better team than Chicago at the moment. So deservedly in the playoff run, a little bit in front of Chicago and Dallas. So let's see how that goes. But I do think the pick was still reasonably good with that sort of value for a home team. And in New York, the similar sort of thing, explanation for these 3 goals in the first period. It did look like it's going to be exactly as we expected. But then, have to be honest, I was surprised how Rangers played when they were leading the game only by 1 goal. They were the ones who actually did slow down and tried to kill the game. They took a couple of penalties in the second period, gave a chance to Philadelphia to score some goals, but Philly was a little bit lethargic in there, couldn't convert their chances that they got. So I do think it was a bit of a surprise how Rangers played. We didn't expect much from Philadelphia Flyers in this case, but could have gone over easily in the second period, especially no goals scored at all, which was surprising considered that they shot a lot of shots on goal. But good game from the goalkeepers as well. So I would still bet this one as well again.
We didn't expect too much for Buffalo either, but they woke up and beat Boston at home 6-4. How do you see generally these kind of teams that have already lost their hopes for the playoffs and now are playing only for their pride? How difficult is to predict their performance during these last 10 games of the season?
It's extremely difficult because you never know what sort of performance you can get. And also you're never sure of what sort of roster they're going to field, because there is a lot of young players, especially teams like Buffalo, who have been doing their rebuild for years now and nothing seems to work for them. So they have a lot of AHL guys coming up. They had a young Finnish goaltender winning his first game in the NHL. He led 4 goals. Boston scored 4 goals, but also saved 36 shots. So good performance from Luukkonen there in the goal of Buffalo. And these are pretty much the sparks that the teams need who don't have anything to play. You play for your new goalie, you play for a rookie guy scoring goals and all these sort of things. So there is still a lot to play for. But like you said, it's very unpredictable. And when you have nothing to play for, and if the other team does need the wins, it should be for the team that has more stakes in the game, because of NHL is so highly competitive that when you don't play with your 100%, you're likely to lose the game.
One game that has had quite a bit playoff implication in Scotia North Division was the match between Calgary and Montreal. This time Calgary dismantled their home arena ghosts and won 4-2. Right now they have played one game more than Montreal and are 6 points behind, so it requires a perfect remaining of the season for Calgary. But do you think it's still possible for them to outset Montreal from the playoffs?
I do keep my fingers crossed for Calgary because they have improved so much from that. Like only in a couple of last weeks they've improved, so they are still in the fight, which is surprising that you usually can't just mess around for 2/3 of the season and still be in contest. But because Montreal has not impressed at all, we have been betting against them all season and been right most of the time. So let's hope that Calgary can also push to the playoffs. Last night was a good example how good they can be when they are in their sort of own game, and Montreal could not do anything in the last night's game. They only shot 20 times on goal. Calgary shot more than 30, and the game was still very tight, but Calgary was a better team. So when they are able to keep their defense intact and then score from their chances, they have a good chance of upsetting Montreal still.
That's what we are looking for tonight as well. Not maybe Calgary's win, but their stingy defense against Montreal when they are repeating the game of last night. So Calgary on Montreal under 5.5 goals, great value with odds -105 there, and we expect another playoff type hockey game with stingy defenses and reasonably good goaltending as well from both sides. The other game, Arizona goes to LA in Staples Center. Kings played last night against Minnesota at home, so they have back-to-back home games, but against different opponent. Kings have still some kind of a chance for the playoffs. They played reasonably well last night, but French car, Mr. Talbot, was the biggest wall against their win in last night against Minnesota. So if they play well the same way as they did last night, and Arizona for sure don't have a similar level goalkeeper there, plus 110 odds for a home team that still fights for the playoff spot is a good value bet as well.
Yeah, it was surprisingly difficult to get these picks from a lot of games, but these two stand out due to the reasons that there is, like you said, Los Angeles Kings, Arizona Coyotes. They are maybe the best of the rest in the Western Division, so they are fighting both from the playoff spot, the fourth one, which is up for grabs for Arizona, San Luis, San Jose, and Los Angeles Kings. So Kings also played pretty lousily for 2/3 of the season, didn't really get anything going, but are still in contest. So now if they realize that, they do need to start winning as well. It was a good game against Minnesota last night. They were actually in control. They shot 40 times towards Talbot, could only score 2 goals. And it looked like they might be actually trying to push for the playoffs, which is also a question if they are willing to do that. But against Arizona at home, a great value there for Kings, and they're not a good team, but they have the chance to upset Arizona, who also not very impressive in the past couple of games. In the simulations, this game goes to Kings with the 59.5%, so the odds are almost 10%. We have value there, so a good pick home team in this battle for the last spot for the playoffs in the Western Division. And taking a look at the northern game, Calgary, we don't like a lot Calgary at home, but against Montreal, like last night we saw, they are capable of shutting down Montreal's offense, and then Montreal does have to play. What they do best is to defend well and play as a unit. That means that they're not creating a lot of goal scoring chances, and neither is Calgary. So if the game is like these teams should play, it will be a very close one and very low scoring. Both teams great goaltenders. Have to say, Jacob Markström, who we have also criticized a bit early in the season. Now when Dave Rittich is gone, so he's the sole number one in Calgary, he's played a lot better. He is the guy who can take Calgary into the playoffs. And to do that, they do have to beat Montreal. So I do think this is going to be at least as close game as last night, but even less scoring. So last night it was the last goal in the empty net. So let's hope that doesn't happen tonight, and it will be a 2-2 game going to the overtime.
We have also, like you said, a lot of games, and we have these 3 divisional top games here as well. Again, like it was a few nights ago, Florida, Carolina, Winnipeg, Toronto, and New York Islanders, Washington. Previous matchup was won by visitors in every of these 3 games, and these visitors are actually leading the divisions as well right now. Do you think they can repeat win tonight, or will it be 1-1 series after tonight games?
I do think that the better teams are better teams, so it could be possible. It was a very close game in New York when Islanders hosted Capitals last time. It was 1-0 for Capitals after the shootout. So maybe that one is going for the Islanders rather because of how they play. Usually they are getting better when they get more chances to try. So I would stay away from that. We do have 51% for Washington Capitals there, which is coin flip in any way. So value is still in Capitals. So the odds are indicating Islanders a lot bigger favorites. But it is a very tough matchup. I would say that Islanders are going to play a little bit better than they did last time. But in Florida, where Carolina visits again, these 2 teams have a bigger difference between them. I do think last time they faced Carolina was a lot better. They played exactly the way that they have to play in order to win, and they have 2 great goaltenders there. No matter which one plays, they can rely on that. So I do think there might be the pick you can do from these 50-50 odds, which are actually now turned already towards Carolina's favor. So the public is probably reacting to that as well. But we do still have value there, 57% for Carolina, while the odds are around 54. So good value there for a better team. I do think Carolina might be the team that has the chance to upset Tampa Bay this season.
Then there's one game where a team that has already lost all their hopes for the playoffs in Detroit faces Dallas, who is still middle of the fight, like we said, in Central Division. But like we saw last time when these teams faced, home team was clearly better, and visitors maybe thought that this will be easy marching parade to Ural Mountains. But do you think it would be repeated this time again?
I do think that Dallas Stars have to learn their lesson from that. We have kept repeating that there are no easy games in this league. You cannot let off the foot from the pedal when you're playing these teams that have nothing to play for. They're there for ice hockey is a fun game. They're there to enjoy. They're there to show that they belong in the league. Young guys usually playing. You can't play like Dallas did last time against Detroit. They lost heavily. It was a horrible game from a team that is trying to reach the playoffs and need to win these games because they're still chasing. Nashville has the upper hand there. So I do think that this time Dallas will bounce back and take the victory. They do have nice value as well. The odds are not great, but it's there 66% according to simulations, and the odds are around 60%. So there is a good road favorite here to pick because Dallas, to be fair, is a lot better team than Detroit is, and they have to bounce back from that horrible game last time.
Let's see how they do bounce back. Dallas is well known for this roller coaster performances throughout the season until they find their stride and can beat anyone in the league. But tonight, many good games starting already early with Pittsburgh hosting New Jersey and continuing then to West where St. Louis hosts Colorado in the game that we predict to be with many goals and interesting matchup for the playoff spot in the West.
Yeah, very interesting games all over and all day long.
We watch all of those and be back tomorrow.
Naturally. See you tomorrow.